The story begins in the heart of a dense forest, where we see an older woman, drenched in blood. She's desperately trying to free her bound hands, when suddenly, something begins to happen to her. And she utters, "Murder maker." A black dog watches her from a distance. Eventually, the woman manages to free her hands. She hears the dog barking and, terrified, flees the scene. Next, in an area on the outskirts of the nearby town, we are introduced to a family. The woman's name is Maggie, and she is with her son, Arlo. She skillfully catches a fly under a teacup and, using a piece of paper, traps it inside. As she heads out, she also sees her daughter, Meryl, in her room. Arlo's grandmother, Ellen, is preparing dinner and listening to a song on the radio, when suddenly a very loud, piercing sound emits from it. The sound abruptly stops. Maggie brings the teacup outside and meets her husband, James, who is working on their farm. He mentions that the goats are extremely frightened. James asks his wife if they aren't going to talk about what happened between them. Maggie replies that she isn't ready yet. She then goes to her son's room and, in front of him, releases the fly from the teacup. From his window, Arlo spots a goat that has wandered beyond the fence. Maggie notices that the horses are also behaving strangely, which makes her a bit nervous, wondering what's happening. She then goes inside. Arlo, following the goat, crosses the fence and ventures into the jungle looking for it. But someone else is there in the jungle, their hand stained with blood. While making dinner, Maggie talks to her mother-in-law, Ellen, saying she's very happy Ellen has come to stay. Ellen replies that she was lonely at her own home, so she's enjoying her time here. Maggie apologizes for something she said earlier. Ellen says she has already forgotten those past matters, and there's no problem between them now. For dinner, Maggie looks for her son but finds him missing. She asks her daughter about her brother's whereabouts, but Meryl doesn't know either. When Maggie comes downstairs, Ellen mentions she saw Arlo going outside. Just then, their neighbors arrive. Reuben, his wife Valeria, and their son Nicholas. Reuben explains that his horse is injured and very scared. Maggie, who is an animal doctor, asks him to bring the horse to the clinic. However, she's currently worried because her son is missing. Maggie tells Reuben that all the animals have been behaving strangely, and she doesn't know why. Nicholas explains that he was very scared by what his horse did. James reassures him, saying Maggie will handle everything. For now, they all set out to find Arlo. Ellen offers Nicholas a drink, saying it's their secret. She then plays a song, and suddenly a loud noise is heard, startling them, as they don't understand what's happening. Maggie is tending to the horse. She observes that the horse's eye is fine, but there are minor cuts around it. She prepares a syringe with medicine, and, upon checking the other side of the horse, finds a piece of wood embedded in its body. Meanwhile, Meryl tells her father James that a goat is also missing, and she too starts to get a bit anxious. But James calms his daughter, assuring her that her brother will be found. Later, in the dark of the night, deep in the jungle, we see Arlo. He's lost and wandering, searching for the goat. He spots it, but then the same old woman appears before him, muttering "murder maker," and attacks Arlo. The entire family is searching for him. Nicholas starts a conversation with Meryl, remarking that her parents are very good, staying so calm in such a situation. Meryl replies that her mom and dad are always fighting, her brother is missing, and her grandmother drinks and is ill. "Yes, my family is great," she says sarcastically. Suddenly, they hear a terrifying sound. Back at the clinic, Maggie removes the small piece of wood from the horse's body. A little blood oozes out, but she reassures Reuben that his horse is perfectly fine. James and Valeria are searching for Arlo together. James tells Valeria how, when his daughter was little, she got stuck in an oven, and how terrifying that day was. He adds that children can be very foolish, which is why he's worried about his son, not knowing where he might be. Just then, Nicholas and Meryl arrive with the goat and the neighbor's lost dog, but Arlo is still missing. Suddenly, they see something in the darkness. We then see Arlo, slightly injured. The same old woman is in front of him, not looking well. She's babbling "murder maker" and looks at Arlo menacingly. There's something strange in her eyes, a peculiarity that we then see reflected in Arlo's eyes as well. Finally, Mr. and Mrs. Kelly arrive and find their dog. Maggie asks them if they've seen Arlo. They say no and ask if he's missing too. James says it's been hours. Mr. Kelly, whose name is Donald, mentions there's a very large, rabid-looking dog in the jungle. He takes out his gun. James tries to stop him, but Donald insists that James's son is missing and he needs to be strong. "Let me handle everything," Donald says. Suddenly, Arlo returns. There are many marks on his hand, as if someone had gripped him tightly. Maggie asks him who did this. Arlo starts repeating the same words the old woman was saying. Then he abruptly faints. In the jungle, the old woman hears a noise and calls out, "Help me." Just then, the large dog appears and attacks her. We also see a man in a mask spraying a blue-colored line on the ground. Immediately after, the lights at the house and all around start flickering. The masked man is watching all of this. The family tries to call an ambulance for Arlo, but Ellen notices there's no signal on the phone. So James tries to take his son to the hospital in his car, but his car won't start. Even Ruben can't start his car, the same one he used to get there. Donald also fails to start his car. Finally, the power goes out completely. No one understands what's happening. They are all confused. For now, they decided safest to go inside the house. Donald wants to go into the jungle alone to check who hurt Arlo. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Maggie is tending to her son's injuries and examining him. Her son seems normal. Maggie asks him if he saw anyone in the jungle and if that person tried to grab him. Maggie tells everyone to leave and asks her son what happened to him in the jungle. He replies, "I don't know myself, but I know one thing. We have to get out of here as soon as possible." He then starts muttering "murder maker" and tries to run away, but Maggie catches Arlo and calms him down. The push from Arlo causes Nicholas to hit his head and get injured. Mrs. Kelly, or Claire, wants to go to her house to call 911, thinking her landline might be working. But Ellen advises against it, saying it might not be safe to go alone. Valeria then asks about the injuries on Arlo's hand, wondering if he did it to himself. Ellen says he would never do that to himself. She recounts how, in his childhood, a cat scratch gave him a high fever, but everything was fine the next day, and strange things like this keep happening. Meryl applies medicine to the cut on Nicholas's head. Nicholas is very scared by everything that's happening. Ruben is talking to James and feels that Arlo must have seen something in the jungle, which is causing all these strange occurrences. The power outage, the animals behaving oddly, cars not starting, and no phone signal. They suspect it might be some kind of electromagnetic pulse. Just then, they see a car outside. It belongs to the masked man. They run out to get help. The masked man emerges, signals them to stop, and shows them the blue line he drew on the ground, warning them, "Don't cross the line." James explains that his son is injured. Their cars won't start, there's no power, and no phone signal. "Your car is working, can you help us?" he pleads, but the masked man pulls out a gun and repeats, "Don't cross the line." Back in the house, Maggie is bandaging her son's wounds. Suddenly, her son picks up a needle and attacks Maggie, babbling the same things again. Maggie manages to control him. When Arlo calms down, he asks, "What's happening to me? I'm scared." He asks his mother if she was ever scared. His mother replies, "Yes, when your sister disappeared. You know where she was found? Inside the oven." He then asks his mother to sing "My Little Lighthouse." He takes out some marbles, places them on the ground, and covers them with a teacup. In the jungle, Donald is searching for whatever is causing these strange events. Suddenly, he falls and finds a woman's body. Behind him stands the large black dog, right in front of his gun. Meanwhile, the masked man, who we saw earlier, is watching them. On his whiteboard, he draws a circle with 2 crosses inside, representing James and Ruben. The circle signifies the blue line. Donald manages to reach them, but the black dog is chasing him. The dog attacks him, but Donald somehow throws the dog to the other side of the blue line. Within seconds, the dog melts and dies, shocking everyone. The masked man repeats his warning, "Don't cross the line," and then adds, "Don't trust anyone." With that, he drives away. Inside the house, everyone hears gunshots. Claire wants to go out to find her husband, and Valeria tries to stop her. But Claire insists on going to her house to use the landline to call 911, ignoring the others' warnings. Valeria gives her a lantern, and Claire leaves. James and the others see Claire heading home. They rush to stop her, because if she crosses the line, she'll die. Claire's dog runs off. They shout at Claire, "Don't cross the line," but she steps over to the other side. Donald, trying to grab his wife, extends his arm and a part of it melts. His wife dies a horrific death. Arlo picks up a dictionary and points to the word trap. He says, "He told me we have to hide." Maggie asks, "Who said that?" He replies, "The man in my head. He said we have to hide because he is coming, and whoever gets in his way will be killed." Maggie is shocked and doesn't understand. Morning arrives, and Donald is sitting in front of his dead wife. James can't believe what happened last night. He gets up to check on his son. Arlo and Nicholas are asleep together, and the teacup is still placed as it was. Maggie also wakes up, and her gaze falls on Claire, who is dead. She wakes her daughter and explains that she wants Meryl to look after her brother. Meryl asks her mother to lie with her for 5 minutes. She knows what happened to Claire and wants to know what's going on here. But Maggie doesn't know either. James tells his wife that the masked man told them not to cross the line and not to trust anyone. They plan to take a risk and go out. Maggie suggests taking Ruben with them, as they don't know what they might face outside. James refuses, But Maggie asks, "Why? What's wrong? The man whose wife you were having an affair with? You don't want to go with him?" Ruben, in the next room, overhears this. James says whatever was happening is over now. He tells his wife they should try to stay together. But Maggie is tired of pretending to be together. She's only here for her children. She goes to check on Donald. James goes to talk to his mother, Ellen, who also heard the argument between James and Maggie in the kitchen. James tries to dismiss it, saying it doesn't matter anymore, and gives his mother her medicine. Meanwhile, Ruben, who now knows the whole truth, doesn't speak properly to his wife Valeria when she wakes up. He picks up his gun and leaves the room. He gives the gun to Maggie and tells her, "Slowly, you'll learn to use this gun." She then goes to meet Donald, who is sitting in front of his wife. Maggie asks Donald to come with them. Ellen and Valeria throw a sheet over Claire's body, covering it. Ruben goes to talk to James and says that according to the masked man's drawing, the line is a circle, and they hope their neighbors Edward and Carmen are outside the circle, so they decide to seek their help. Maggie is taking care of Donald and asks him to rest. Donald says he also dreamed of having a family. He has no children, and he starts crying, remembering his wife. He tells Maggie there's a body in the jungle. James and Ruben, on horseback, go to find their neighbors. In the jungle, they find a snake that was also killed trying to cross the line. They wonder how whoever drew the line knew where to draw it. Meryl and Nicholas arrive to see Arlo, but the entity within him tells them that Arlo is currently sleeping. Meryl asks her brother, "Yesterday, you said someone was coming to kill us?" He begins to speak again, "Hide or die." He then grabs his sister's hand, and then water accidentally falls onto a rainbow drawing. He picks up that empty jar, and, as he starts to leave with it, tells his sister, "Listen to the messenger inside me. Obey whatever he tells you. He's a good man, and he resides in my mind. An assassin is coming to kill us." Meryl finds his words hard to believe. Arlo, the messenger, insists, "I'm not a bad person. Right now, I'm the only one with the answers, so you have to listen to me." Valeria and Ellen are sitting near a demarcated line. Valeria starts asking the older woman, Ellen, about her illness, because Ellen's hands sometimes tremble. Ellen is also aware of Valeria's affair with James. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Valeria begins to say that when she married Ruben and moved here, she had envisioned an idyllic farming life, but found it exceedingly difficult. Just then, a car pulls up in front of them, and a man gets out. They try to stop the man, warning him, "Don't cross the line." However, the man ignores them, crosses the line to come inside, and surprisingly, nothing happens to him. Arlo, or rather, the messenger inside him, is leading Meryl and Nicholas somewhere through the forest. For protection, Nicholas carries a knife in his pocket. They reach a very large, burnt crater where some animals also lie dead. Arlo points towards the sky. Nicholas asks, "Did you come from up there?" To which he replies, "Yes." After that, he climbs down into the crater and begins pouring a colorful liquid into a container, stating, "This is poison." Nicholas inquires, "What will you do with it?" Arlo says, "We drink it." Meanwhile, James and Ruben reach the house of another neighbor, Edward and Carmen, which is also within the blue circle. However, the place is deserted, with no sign of human life. James finds the dead body of a police officer. As he turns, he sees Edward's corpse being pecked out by crows. In the forest, Maggie discovers the body of the old woman. James, armed with a gun, enters the house and finds Edward's son dead inside. Sounds are emanating from the basement, and he heads towards it, thinking Carmen might still be alive. Back in the forest, we see Maggie calling the old woman Carmen, revealing that the deceased old woman is Carmen. At Edward's house, someone grabs James from inside the basement and pulls him in. In the forest, Maggie picks up the guns lying near Carmen's body and leaves. On the other hand, Arlo, the messenger, explains to Meryl and Nicholas that drinking this liquid allows one to cross the blue line unharmed. However, it is a poison. Consuming too much is fatal. Meanwhile, the man who crossed the line earlier begins to tell Ellen and Valeria that there must be some explanation for everything happening, but his immediate priority is to get them to safety. Then Maggie arrives, and Ellen informs her that this man is Lieutenant Olson. The lieutenant then explains that his mission is to find and isolate Carmen, as it was discovered she had disappeared one day and was ill. Everyone starts to suspect that whatever happened to Carmen is connected to this blue line. The lieutenant stresses that if anyone has come into contact with Carmen, it poses a significant problem. Valeria mentions that Arlo might have met Carmen in the forest, and it was after meeting this woman that he began behaving strangely. The lieutenant wants to speak with Arlo, but Maggie doesn't trust him. She gives Valeria a gun, tells her the children are in the barn, and takes the lieutenant with her. Valeria wonders what Maggie is planning. Ellen remarks, "I don't know, but you remember, we're not supposed to trust anyone." Meryl asks Nicholas, "Do you like me?" Nicholas confesses he's liked Meryl since childhood and feels this is the right time to tell her, as they might not see tomorrow. Meryl then speaks to Arlo, asking, "Did the messenger come from outer space?" He confirms, yes. "And did the assassin create this blue line to track the messenger?" Arlo again affirms, yes. But the question remains, why does the assassin want to track the messenger? Arlo replies, the messenger is on a secret mission. Just then, they hear a vehicle approaching. Maggie questions the lieutenant about why he is there alone. He claims, "We operate solo." He then describes vibrations on the other side of the blue line that are lethal to any living being upon contact, and also interfere with signals and power. Maggie leads the lieutenant to the roof and confronts him. Carmen had struggle marks on her hands. What happened to her? You're either lying or hiding something. The lieutenant retorts, "You're smart, but it won't do you any good because no one is coming to save you people." As the lieutenant lunges towards her, Maggie strikes him. Subsequently, they tie up the lieutenant and search his belongings, quickly realizing he isn't the lieutenant he claims to be. Carmen's hands were bound, and this man also possesses zip ties. Valeria then speaks to Maggie about her affair with James, asking, "Did you know? But it's all over now. And if you hate me, that's fine." Maggie responds, "I don't hate you. I feel sorry for you. I thought you were a good person, but you're not." Just then, the man, Olsen, regains consciousness and tells Maggie, "Bring your son to me. Time is running out." Maggie leaves, and finding Valeria alone, he tries to intimidate her, saying, "Untie my hands. If the situation worsens, I won't be able to help even if I want to." Then Ellen arrives. Valeria hands her the gun and goes outside. Meanwhile, Maggie becomes increasingly terrified and rushes to the clinic, where Donald manages to calm her and offer encouragement. Back in the forest, Arlo, Meryl, and Nicholas encounter a masked man holding a sign that reads, "Do not cross the line." The man sees the container of colorful liquid, and Nicholas draws his knife. The man demands, "Give me that container." When they refuse, the man crosses the line and attempts to snatch the glass container. It falls and shatters, and Nicholas stabs the man. Meryl helps the injured man and removes his mask. The man looks at Arlo and says, "You're the one who was inside that woman, Carmen, before. I was just trying to help you." Olsen complains to Ellen that blood is getting into his eyes and asks if she can wipe it. As she moves closer, Olsen opens his mouth, and the entity within him transfers into Ellen, instantly curing her trembling illness. Olsen, now himself again, begins looking for his companions, but the possessed Ellen shoots and kills him on the spot. She then unties herself and strikes her head to draw blood, creating the appearance that she hasn't deliberately killed Olsen. Over at Edward's house, inside the barn, Reuben notices a glowing tree, seemingly connected to the colorful liquid. In the basement, James regains consciousness to find his hands and feet bound. A masked man, appearing quite weak, is present. He lights a cigarette and asks James to give him one reason why he shouldn't shoot him. Reuben, however, is captivated by the glowing tree, staring at it as if hypnotized, and begins to move towards it. He extends his hand, and a spider lands on it. As soon as the spider touches the tree, it disintegrates into pieces. In the basement, the young man initially thinks James has come to kill him, but James explains, "My son is sick, and a masked man came to my house." The young man replies, "That must have been McNabb." James then tells him about the blue line, warning that crossing it means death. The young man laughs, saying that if James has truly seen McNabb, it implies the situation is far more complex than it appears. The story shifts to a flashback. The young man's name is Travis, and he works as a bartender. McNabb is a regular customer who engages Travis in conversations about science, strange phenomena, and aliens. He speaks of some otherworldly things, claiming They will come. When another patron asks, "Who are they?" McNabb points upwards, saying, "Guests are coming." However, the others merely mock McNabb, disbelieving his alien theories. In response, McNabb shows them his badly burned hand, stating, "I've touched danger, and it will happen again. They have arrived, and they are present among us." The annoyed bar owner asks McNabb to leave, but he is too intoxicated, so Travis offers to take McNabb home. On the way, Travis asks about the burn mark and the trap McNabb mentions. McNabb cryptically replies, "When you see it, you'll understand. That thing pulls you towards it." Travis drops McNabb at his house and stands outside smoking. A car stops in front of him briefly before driving away. Travis goes inside McNabb's house to check on him and discovers numerous masks. He finds McNabb asleep. Travis takes a knife from a drawer and pockets it. He also notices a photograph of McNabb with his daughter. Suddenly, McNabb awakes and points a gun at Travis, who quickly explains, "I just came to check on you." McNabb looks at him and says, "I can see you're asking yourself if there's any truth to what I said." The narrative returns to the present. James asserts, "I'm not an alien." Travis, visibly weakened, makes James say, "My wife is a doctor. She can help you." Travis slumps down dejectedly, lamenting that he just wants to control his own life but has become entangled in this chaos. Another flashback begins. Travis is seen installing an antenna on McNabb's house. McNabb continuously tells Travis about alien spaceships and similar topics, emphasizing the need to be prepared. He explains that aliens are not visible in their true forms. Upon landing, they inhabit human bodies referred to as hosts and periodically switch hosts. They arrive on Earth via meteors. There are both good and bad aliens, and whenever a good alien appears, a bad alien eliminates it. From this, it becomes clear that the alien inside Arlo is good, while the one inside his grandmother Ellen is bad. They then observe a meteor streaking across the sky. McNabb points out how aliens would arrive. Just then, the same car from before pulls up and Olsen emerges. McNabb speaks with him and then instructs Travis to accompany them. They venture into the forest, where Olsen teaches Travis how to shoot. McNabb explains that aliens are invisible. If you shoot, they simply change hosts. The challenge is to identify the current host. They show Travis a picture of a woman named Mary, claiming a malevolent alien resides within her despite her ordinary appearance. Olsen elaborates that Mary had maintained a normal routine for 2 years, but had become active 2 weeks prior. She had purchased a gun, zip ties, and other equipment as if preparing for something significant. Mary's altered behavior, coupled with the meteor sighting, signals the imminent arrival of more aliens, and the trio, McNabb, Olsen, and Travis, plan to confront them. McNabb recounts that one evening, his daughter Elisha had gone for a walk in the forest and never returned. His attempts to call 911 failed as the phone lines were down. That night, a malevolent alien named Adam came to his door, offering to help find Elisha. This alien consumed a specific type of liquid and then left with his daughter, effortlessly crossing the blue line. When McNabb pursued them, the trap, or that force field, caused the severe burn on his hand. Suddenly, the trap vanished and the aliens departed. McNabb found his daughter dead the next day, her throat slit, her body discarded in a convenience store dumpster. This tragedy fuels his relentless hunt for aliens. Then, McNabb gives Travis a locket. The following day, McNabb, Olsen, and Travis set out to find Mary, the host of the bad alien. A van abruptly stops before them. They follow it and arrive outside Edward's house. Mary is present. When Carmen emerges from the house, she appears unwell. Olsen declares he knows an alien is inside her, and they all enter the house. Inside their vehicle, the 3 men don masks, preparing to go in, hoping the masks will prevent alien possession. Travis begins filling a tub with water and witnesses Mary shoot Edward and his son. Mary then retreats into a barn. McNabb tries to take Carmen with him, but she flees into the forest. McNabb then sees Mary pouring gallons of the colorful liquid, cultivating an alien tree. McNabb leaves Travis at the scene and departs. Travis attempts to make a call, but his phone is inoperable. Just then, Mary appears armed with a gun. Upon seeing Travis, she opens her mouth and the alien entity transfers from her into him. When Mary regains her senses, she is terrified of Travis, now a host. Travis grabs a piece of wood to attack her, but Mary shoots him twice in the chest. Despite his wounds, Travis strikes Mary a fatal blow to the head. Coughing from his injuries, Travis sees Olsen approach to help. The alien immediately transfers from Travis into Olsen. Travis, now free of the entity, flees into the house to save his life. Back in the present, Travis reveals to James that the trap, or force field, can only be deactivated by its creator. He also explains that the alien tree lures everyone towards it and then kills them, just as we witness with the spider that disintegrates. Travis then hands James a knife to free himself and proceeds to shoot himself, ending his own life. James, now free, rushes out to save Ruben. Ruben exclaims that the tree won't let him leave, so James grabs an axe, chops through the wall to create an opening, and pulls Ruben out, insisting they need to return home. Enraged, Ruben begins to beat James, revealing that he too knows about James's affair with his wife, screaming that James is the reason he no longer has a home. James apologizes to him. As the two head towards the forest, they spot Arlo. James embraces his son. Then, Meryl and Nicholas appear, accompanied by McNabb. Elsewhere, Donald prepares a burial spot for his wife's body when he looks up and sees an aircraft in the sky. Meanwhile, Maggie applies medicine to the wound on Ellen's head and notices that Ellen's hand stops trembling. Just as Ellen, seizing an opportunity, is about to transfer her consciousness into Maggie, Valeria arrives, announcing that the others have returned. After they leave, Ellen places a knife and an injection on her bed. Everyone returns from the forest, bringing the injured McNabb with them. Nicholas explains that he attacked McNabb out of fear and self-defense because McNabb is trying to take the liquid from them. Ruben listens to his son, already aware of the liquid's significance. Nicholas informs them that drinking this liquid allows anyone to cross the blue line to the other side. Hearing this, Ruben tells his son, "Take me to McNabb's car." McNabb is taken to Maggie's clinic so she can remove the bullet from his body. There, Arlo tells his father that the alien inside him says McNabb is the good one and Olsen is the bad one. James then informs everyone else that no one is left alive at Edward's house. Afterward, he goes with Donald to examine Olsen's body, and the two discuss the messenger and the visitor. Donald questions the official story of Olsen's death, remarking, "No one sees what happens to this man. Your mother says he frees himself and is about to attack her, so she shoots him. But looking at him, it seems he is tied up when he is shot." This leads James to suspect that the malevolent alien might now reside in his mother, Ellen. He asks Donald to relay this to Maggie and goes to see his mother himself. In the forest, Ruben tells his wife, Valeria, that there is something out there, and no one is coming to save them. It is then that Valeria understands her husband knows about her relationship with James. She tells him, "Whatever there was, it's all over now, and it's not your fault. The fault is mine." Just then, Nicholas calls out to his parents and leads them to McNabb's car, where the glass container is broken. Some of the liquid still remains. Suddenly, a wolf appears before them and begins to drink the liquid. Nicholas fires a shot. The wolf, having consumed the liquid, runs off, crosses the blue line unharmed, and disappears. Now they have no liquid left. However, Nicholas then finds McNabb's diary there. Meanwhile, Maggie talks to her son Arlo, asking about the messenger inside him. Arlo explains that the messenger is on a mission to find his machine, which will enable him to return to his home planet. However, all of this must be done discreetly, or else the other aliens, hidden within other humans, will awaken. They ask what will happen once the machine is activated. McNabb, who gets up and is holding a gun, declares, "Preparation for an invasion." Donald witnesses all of this. Elsewhere, James is still searching for his mother. Here, McNabb explains that many malevolent aliens are currently dormant, but are slowly awakening, and will attack humanity. He asserts, "The one inside your son is our last hope for survival. Therefore, he must come with me." He then adds, "I don't know who I should trust." Maggie retorts, "I treated you and removed the bullet. You can at least trust me." James then arrives, stating, "Travis told me everything, and now he's dead." Olsen, who hosted the bad alien, is also dead, but McNabb insists, "No, it can't die like that. Arlo's life is actually in danger from it, and that bad alien could be any one of you. That's why I want to take Arlo with me, to keep him safe." Just then, Donald suddenly appears, and McNabb, in a panic, shoots him. James tries to stop McNabb from behind, but McNabb manages to escape. Fortunately, Donald is wearing a bulletproof vest, which saves his life. Night falls, and everyone begins to lock their doors, but Ellen is not at her house. Meryl asks her father, James, "Do you really think there's an alien inside Grandma? That Arlo has a good messenger inside him, and the alien inside Grandma is bad?" Maggie then asks the messenger, "Can you come inside me? You'd be safe if you do." But Arlo, the messenger, refuses, saying, "I will stay inside Arlo so that you, Meryl, and James can all protect me together." Then Nicholas enters, now also aware that the malevolent alien is in Ellen. He shows them the diary he has found in the forest, hoping it might offer some help. In the forest, a group is searching for McNab. Back at the house, strange noises are heard from outside, prompting Maggie to go out with a light. Meanwhile, James hears a noise in the clinic, but when he investigates, he finds it is only Donald's dog. Elsewhere, Donald finds Ellen, and they all tie her to a chair. However, she claims, "There's nothing inside me. It feels like it left me, or perhaps it's hidden somewhere within me. I honestly don't know." Maggie unties Ellen's hands. They all then formulate a plan. They will keep a close watch on each other to determine who is hosting the assassin, the bad alien, and no one will enter Arlo's room to ensure his safety. Then, Nicholas comes and tells everyone what he has learned from the diary. The way to expel the assassin from a human host is by drowning them. This is the reason we see Travis filling a tub with water outside Edward's house. The next morning, McNab regains consciousness in the forest. He reaches the blue line but does not cross it. Instead, he makes his way to Edward's house, where he changes into some new clothes, though his wound is still untreated. He goes down to the basement and there finds his companion, Travis, dead. Meanwhile, Maggie is reading instructions on how to resuscitate a drowning victim. When she comes out, she sees Nicholas sitting outside Arlo's room, and Valeria has prepared food for Arlo. Maggie then goes downstairs and hears Ellen saying that someone has been in her mind, constantly giving her orders, and that her hands are trembling again. This suggests that perhaps the alien is truly no longer inside her. But if so, who now hosts the alien is yet to be discovered. Outside, James, Ruben, and Donald light a fire, hoping someone will see the smoke and come to their aid. Ruben, however, holds out little hope. The others begin to suspect that the alien might actually be inside Ruben, as he seems excessively angry. Maggie then joins James for a smoke. They talk about McNab, with Maggie opining that McNab didn't want to shoot at them. She then instructs James, "We are not going to drown anyone, it's far too risky." Elsewhere, Ruben is filling a container with fuel. Donald asks him, "What exactly are you doing this for?" Ruben replies, "This is the only way we can survive. If you want to see, follow me, and you'll find out." Meanwhile, Nicholas tells Meryl about another entry in the diary, concerning a woman who hosted the assassin. Her family attempted to drown her. He also learns about an online group that uses this very method to identify assassins. Across the room, Valeria is calculating the probability of who might be hosting the bad alien. Ultimately, only Ellen's name remains, but Ellen herself doesn't react much. We then see Ruben arriving at Edward's farm, preparing to set fire to the area where the alien tree stands. Donald is staring intently at the tree, and Ruben warns him not to. Finally, they set the place ablaze. Meanwhile, Nicholas reads from the diary that for aliens to travel from one host to another, they need to be in very close proximity. Meryl, flirting, asks, "How close?" "Close enough," he replies. The two then share a kiss. Meryl then leaves to check on her brother, Arlo, who has drawn something on a piece of paper that looks like lightning, or perhaps a map. James and Maggie are discussing what will happen even if they manage to drown the bad alien out of someone. Will the alien simply vanish into thin air? Suddenly, Maggie starts laughing, recalling the day James first came to her house for Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, the fire does not cause even the slightest damage to the alien tree. McNab appears, declaring, "You can't destroy it." He then shows them Travis's locket, which still contains a small amount of the liquid. On the other hand, Meryl is trying to match Arlo's drawing to a map to figure out its location. Elsewhere, Valeria tells her son Nicholas to come with her, stating that there is no point in staying because she knows who the assassin is. From the map, Meryl discovers that they are currently in Atlanta, and the map culminates at Belknot Mountain. When they go outside, Nicholas is not there. Valeria leads her son to the blue line and tells him that medicine intended to knock out Arlo has been found in Ellen's room. Then she reveals Ellen isn't the assassin. I am, and now you're going to be. Valeria then transfers the alien from herself into Nicholas. As Valeria regains her own senses, Nicholas pushes his own mother across the blue line, killing her. We then see a woman named Carol who lives in another area making tea for herself. She goes into the forest, digs up a bag from the ground. She then receives a phone call, and Carol says, "Yes, I found it. Now tell me where I can find McNab." Meanwhile, Ruben puts on gloves, drinks the liquid, and approaches the tree. After consuming the liquid, Ruben is able to touch the tree. He breaks off a small piece of it and places it in the container. The piece of the tree melts, transforming into more of the colorful liquid, enough for all of them to drink. James and Maggie are tallying how many people they have lost. James speaks about Travis, saying that he just wanted a little control over his life. "I wanted the same thing," James confesses. He then asks his wife, "Can things between us ever go back to how they were?" Maggie replies, Maybe. Elsewhere, Arlo removes the teacups, separates all the marbles, and keeps only the red ones aside. He tells his sister, Meryl, "There's one thing we can do." He says this red marble is the assassin, and covers it with a teacup. But Meryl cannot understand what her brother is trying to convey. Then she sees Nicholas calling her from outside, so she goes out, leaving her brother alone, something she absolutely should not do. Nicholas begins to tell her that their mother is actually the assassin, and has even attacked him. While saying this, he casually places a stone beside him. Then, suddenly, he transfers the alien from himself into Meryl. As soon as he regains his senses, Meryl picks up the stone and attacks Nicholas. Arlo witnesses all of this and runs to tell Maggie that the bad alien is now inside Meryl.
Possessed Meryl enters the room where the gun is kept and sees Ellen taking Arlo somewhere. She immediately rushes downstairs, but Maggie aims a gun at her. Meryl tells them, "You know that you people mean nothing to me, so give me what I want." When Maggie refuses, the alien threatens, "If you don't, I'll kill your daughter." Meryl, James, wearing a mask, comes from behind and begins to fight the alien residing in his daughter. He tells his wife to put on a mask. Then, the two of them take their daughter to drown her. Nicholas regains consciousness but has no clear memory of what has happened. They are about to go inside, but Ellen signals them from a distance not to enter. Meanwhile, Meryl manages to remove James's mask, but they don't stop the drowning process until Meryl's breathing ceases. They then pull Meryl out, and Maggie tries to resuscitate her daughter following the instructions. However, Meryl does not regain consciousness initially. After much effort, Meryl finally comes to, and she is no longer under the alien's control. But now the question is, where has the malevolent alien gone? Then Arlo, seeing the colored liquid, says, "Now we won't be trapped. We should go." Nicholas doesn't know what happened to his mother, as he is unconscious when Valeria dies. Ruben tells his son, "You go with the others. I'll look for your mother." Meanwhile, it becomes clear that the alien has entered James, but he is still trying to fight it. He tells them, "Get out of here." Elsewhere, Nicholas finds his mother's body and begins to weep. James, no longer in control of himself, starts to beat Ruben severely, but Maggie shoots at James. Then, James hears Arlo's voice and begins to run after him. As soon as he reaches Arlo, Maggie injects James with a syringe, knocking him unconscious, and then leaves with her son. Arlo asks his mother, "Do you remember the teacup?" Then James appears and says to them, "Why don't you people just give up?" With that, he lunges to attack Maggie, but Maggie somehow manages to trap James in a freezer. Ruben and Meryl arrive. Meryl tries to stop her mother because James will suffocate in the freezer, but Maggie sees no other option. To ensure James and Alien cannot escape, Ruben places heavy bags on top of the freezer. After this, everyone drinks a small amount of the colorful liquid and crosses to the other side of the blue line. Ellen stays behind to look after the animals, but Maggie promises that she will definitely return. Before leaving, she hugs Ellen, and then they all set off. They all leave in Olsen's vehicle, and Maggie says, "For now, we should go to the fire station." But Arlo tells his sister, "We need to go to Belknap Mountain first because the messenger needs to turn on the machine." Suddenly, Carol stops them, accompanied by her friend Miles. She asks which of them is McNabb. When she sees McNabb, they are overjoyed because they all communicate online, but McNabb has abruptly stopped messaging, which has worried them, so they have come to find him. Carol is about to take something out of her bag when McNabb's old associate, Hayden, appears and runs down Carol and Miles with his vehicle. Hayden is wearing a mask and is accompanied by a girl named Izzy. Through speakers, Izzy tells them, "Listen carefully and watch closely." Hayden reveals that Carol's bag contains zip ties to imprison them and drugs to sedate them. Izzy states, "Those two are not friends anymore. They are all waking up and they are everywhere," referring to the assassins. She tells them they can leave alone or stay with them if they want to survive. The choice is theirs. But before deciding, Maggie wants to know what is truly going on. And with that, Teacup Season 1 comes to an end. Speaking of the series, I quite enjoy it, but it would be even better if some questions receive clearer answers. Because if you look at the bigger picture, we still don't know anything about why these aliens have come to Earth or what their motives are. Nevertheless, whatever it is, Season 1 is very interesting. One can say it is quite good, though perhaps not quite great. And hey, if you enjoyed this recap, what are you waiting for? Hit that like button and subscribe. Love you all for sticking around till the end.